The wait is finally over, and you can feel that buzz in the air because baseball is back and all eyes are locked on the Toronto Blue Jays as they step into a brand new season. Opening day always carries that special energy, that mix of excitement and uncertainty, and heading into 2026, there's a real sense that this team could be on the verge of something big. The first series already brings an interesting test, going up against the Oakland Athletics, a matchup that might not look intimidating on paper, but has all the ingredients to challenge this roster right out of the gate. There's something about the first game of the season that makes everything feel amplified. Every pitch seems heavier, every swing more meaningful, and fans tend to react to every single moment like it defines the entire year. That is just the nature of baseball when you've been wading through the offseason, analyzing every move, every adjustment, every rumor. But the reality is that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And even though emotions are running high, this opening stretch is more about setting a tone than delivering final answers. Still, it is impossible not to look back at what happened previously and feel a bit cautious. The memory of a rough opening performance last season is still fresh for a lot of people, and nobody wants to relive that kind of start again. At the same time, baseball has a funny way of flipping narratives quickly. A team can stumble early and still find itself playing at the highest level months later. That is why there is this constant internal battle between staying grounded and letting the excitement take over, especially with a roster that clearly has talent across multiple areas. One of the biggest talking points coming into this series is the pitching matchup, and that is where things get really interesting. Facing a starter like Luis Severino right out of the gate is not exactly easing into the season. He brings experience, velocity, and the kind of presence that can disrupt hitters if they are not fully locked in. That makes the approach at the plate incredibly important, especially early in the game when hitters are still adjusting to regular season intensity. On the other side, there's also going to be a look at how this lineup handles different styles, especially with a left-hander like Jeffrey Springs expected to enter the mix shortly after, forcing quick adjustments. And that brings up one of the most fascinating aspects of this team right now, which is how the lineup is going to be structured. There are certain names that feel locked into place, players who are expected to carry a major portion of the offensive load, no matter the situation. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is obviously at the center of that conversation, a player who has the ability to change a game with a single swing and who will once again be relied on as a key run producer. Around him, there are several pieces that can either elevate this offense to another level or create inconsistency if things do not click right away. Then you have veterans like George Springer, who often set the tone at the top of the order. The expectations around him are always intense because when he is locked in, the entire lineup seems to flow better. But just like anyone else, a slow start can quickly shift the narrative, especially in a fan base that is watching every at-bat under a microscope during these early games. That is where perspective becomes crucial, because judging a player based on a handful of plate appearances is one of the easiest traps to fall into at this stage of the season. What makes this even more intriguing is the balance between power and approach within the lineup. There are players capable of delivering big hits, driving the ball deep, and producing runs in bunches, but there's also a growing emphasis on plate discipline and forcing pitchers to work. In a matchup against someone like Severino, that balance becomes essential, making him throw more pitches, stretching out those at-bats, and gathering information early can set the stage for success not just in one game, but throughout the entire series. At the same time, there are still questions that only real game action can answer. Spring training can give you hints. It can show you flashes of improvement or areas of concern, but once the regular season begins, everything changes. The pressure is different, the stakes are higher, and the margin for error becomes much smaller. That is why confidence coming out of preseason action matters, but it does not guarantee anything once the games start counting for real. There's also the broader context of the league to consider, and even in these first few days, you start to see how unpredictable things can be. Performances across the league are already reminding everyone that no player is immune to early struggles or unexpected results. That unpredictability is part of what makes opening week so compelling. because it creates storylines that can either fade away quickly or grow into something much bigger as the season unfolds. As the Blue Jays take the field, there's this underlying sense that this group understands what it takes to compete at a high level, but also recognizes that nothing is guaranteed. Every season brings new challenges, new adjustments, and new opportunities for players to step up or fall behind. The key now is how quickly they can find their rhythm, how effectively they can execute their game plan, and how they respond when things do not go their way right out of the gate. As the focus shifts deeper into what this team can actually put on the field, the conversation naturally moves toward how the lineup will function on a game-to-game basis, especially when matchups start dictating decisions. There's a clear expectation that this offense will not look exactly the same every night, and that flexibility could end up being one of the biggest strengths over the course of a long season. The ability to adapt, depending on whether they are facing a right-handed or left-handed pitcher, is something that can create subtle advantages. It becomes even more relevant early on when every edge feels magnified. One of the names that keeps generating discussion is Dalton Varsho, particularly in terms of where he fits best within the order. There is a strong case for placing him near the top, especially considering the adjustments he has reportedly made to his swing. Reducing swing and miss while maintaining hard contact is not an easy balance to achieve, but if those improvements carry over into real games, it changes the dynamic of the lineup in a significant way. Suddenly, you're not just looking at a power threat, but a more complete hitter who can contribute consistently in different situations. There's also the mental side of things, which often goes unnoticed, but plays a huge role, especially in the early stages of the season. Players are adjusting not only physically, but also mentally, finding their timing, building confidence, and settling into routines. A strong start can reinforce positive habits, while a slow beginning can test a player's ability to stay focused and avoid pressing. That is why the messaging around staying even-keeled is so important, even if it is easier said than done when the spotlight is this intense. And then there is the element of familiarity within the clubhouse and coaching staff. Having a manager who understands his players, who knows how to put them in positions where they can succeed, can make a difference that goes beyond simple lineup decisions. Trust between players and staff often translates in a better execution on the field because everyone is aligned in terms of expectations and approach. That continuity can be especially valuable when navigating the inevitable ups and downs of a long schedule. As these early games unfold, every decision, every adjustment, and every performance will start to shape the identity of this team. Some roles will become clearer, others will remain fluid, and new storylines will begin to emerge with each passing inning. The challenge is not just about winning games right now, but about building something that can sustain itself over the long haul, and that process is already underway from the very first pitch of the season. As the rhythm of the season begins to take shape, another layer that cannot be ignored is how this team handles pressure situations right out of the gate. Early games might not decide standings, but they absolutely influence confidence. And confidence can be the difference between a lineup that feels dangerous and one that starts pressing too soon. When runners get on base in those first few innings, all eyes naturally turn once again to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because he represents that presence in the middle of the order that can instantly change momentum. The way he approaches those first opportunities of the year could set the tone not just for himself, but for the hitters around him who feed off that energy. There's also a growing curiosity around how quickly chemistry will show itself on the field, especially with pieces that are still finding their rhythm together. You can have talent across the board, but timing, communication, and trust are things that only develop through real game situations. Double plays, outfield coordination, base running decisions, all of these small details start to reveal how connected a team really is. And in a series where every inning feels like a test, even minor missteps can shift momentum in ways that are hard to recover from if you're not locked in. At the same time, pitching will quietly carry a huge part of the responsibility, even if most of the early attention lands on the offense. A starter like Kevin Gausman stepping onto the mound brings a level of stability and expectation that fans are counting on. His ability to control the pace of the game, attack hitters early, and avoid unnecessary traffic on the bases can make everything feel calmer for the team behind him. When your pitcher is in command, it allows the defense to stay relaxed and the offense to build its approach without feeling like it has to chase the game. Another factor that begins to emerge quickly is how managers respond to in-game situations, especially when things do not go according to plan. Matchups from the bullpen, pinch-hitting decisions, and even subtle shifts in defensive positioning can all play a role in tight contests. These are the moments where preparation meets instinct, and where a single decision can either pay off immediately or become a talking point long after the final out. Early in the season, these choices are often magnified because everyone is still forming opinions about what works and what might need adjusting. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. Rumors are beginning to swirl around the potential opening day lineup for the Los Angeles Dodgers after a recent test configuration reportedly used in preparation for a matchup against the San Diego Padres. While no official confirmation has been given, insiders suggest the coaching staff may already be shaping a bold offensive strategy designed to maximize early momentum. The speculative lineup has quickly become a talking point among fans and analysts, not only because of the names involved, but due to the order in which they were arranged. There's a growing belief that the Dodgers are considering a more aggressive top of the order, potentially placing power hitters earlier than expected. This shift could signal a philosophical adjustment, prioritizing immediate impact over traditional pacing. Observers close to the situation hint that versatility is a key factor in these experiments. The Dodgers have long valued flexibility, but this rumored lineup suggests an even greater emphasis on matchup exploitation. By stacking players who can adapt to different pitching styles, the team may be preparing to counter the Padres' deep and dynamic rotation. At the same time, questions remain about whether this configuration is merely a trial or a genuine preview of what's to come. Spring evaluations often produce unusual alignments, but the intensity surrounding this particular test has fueled speculation that it carries more weight than usual. Some believe the coaching staff is sending a subtle message. Competition within the roster is still very much alive. Across the league, rival teams are undoubtedly paying attention. If the Dodgers do commit to this rumored structure, it could influence how opponents approach early season games against them. For the Padres, in particular, the possibility of facing an unconventional lineup adds another layer of intrigue to an already compelling rivalry. For now, everything remains unofficial. Yet the buzz continues to grow, and until the lineup card is finalized, speculation will only intensify. In a season already filled with high expectations, even the smallest hint of strategic evolution is enough to capture the imagination of the baseball world. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.